How do you deal with in-laws that interfere in your marriage? Now, to a certain degree, I think it's true that when you married your spouse, you married their parents too. So you not only need to adjust yourself to your new husband or wife, but also to his or her parents. Having a good relationship with your in-laws is important. The Apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 12, verse 18, if possible, so far as it depends upon you, be at peace with all men. However, sometimes in-laws can have a negative influence on their children's marriage. It is imperative that you do not allow that to happen. If you remember in Genesis 2:24, it says, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Understanding the one flesh principle is essential to having a God-honoring marriage. It's also important in how you relate to your in-laws. The action commanded to leave one's father and mother and be joined to one's wife is basic to a biblical understanding of marriage. The implication is the wife also leaves father and mother and is joined to her husband. It specifically refers to the husband because he's the head of the home. A new relationship with your spouse cannot be established until the old relationship with your parents is ended. You must leave your father and mother. Now, what I mean is the authority structure and loyalties that existed prior to marrying must not be carried over when you marry. In other words, when you marry, your relationship with your parents changes. It's different. Your relationship with your parents cannot be exactly the same as it was before you married. Problems occur when there's not a break or there's only a partial break with one's parents. For example, when a husband depends on his father or mother to make decisions for him instead of accepting responsibility as the head of a new home. Now, that doesn't mean it's wrong if he thinks it would be helpful to ask his father and mother's advice for something. The point is, he must make his own decisions whether his father or mother agree with them or not. He is answerable to God. Now, there are situations when a parent, because they don't have a good relationship with their own spouse, look to their son or daughter for fulfillment. The result, a parent is reluctant, hesitant, and unwilling to let their son or daughter go. They have them tied to their proverbial apron strings. Not only does this have a negative effect on their child's marriage, but it also complicates whatever issues they have in their own marriage. Again, let me say, you must not allow your in-laws to do that. There has to be a clean and biblical break. If you severed ties with your parents in an unbiblical way, you need to repent of that and seek forgiveness. Now, most in-laws really don't intend to interfere and cause problems in their child's marriage, but sometimes because of thoughtless words and actions they do. Unfortunately, there are times when it is intentional. The best thing, which most are hesitant to do, is to go to their in-laws and be upfront. As Matthew 18:15 says, go and show them their faults. The straightforward approach is best. Yes, there may be a few hurt feelings, however, it's better to weather it now than to let it go on for weeks, months, or even years. Now, if in the heat of the moment things were said that worsen the relationship with your in-laws, then Jesus said in Matthew 7, you need to take the log out of your own eye. In other words, confess your sin, ask your in-laws for forgiveness. Nothing they may have done excuses and justifies a sinful response from you. Granted, your in-laws may have some repenting to do too. If they are not Christians, don't expect it. But you need to do what God commands you to do. Remember, if possible, so far as it depends on you, Paul said, be at peace with all men. You don't do it as a strategy to get them to do it. You do it because God commanded it, regardless of the in-laws' response. The thing to remember when dealing with in-laws that tend to interfere is to maintain Genesis 2:24. Keep in mind the marriage relationship, the leaving, joining, and the one flesh is the greater relationship. The child-parent relationship is temporary. It must be broken. There must be a leaving. The husband and wife's relationship is permanent. It's important to keep this principle clear in your thinking when dealing with the stress and pressures of in-laws. The husband is the key. If he does what God requires in Genesis 2:24, eventually the negative and damaging influence of in-laws can be resolved. But it takes perseverance. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me. That really helps support my videos.